The trouble with Elon. That's the subject of today's video. This is a blog post by Sam Harris that just came out today. I want to go over it with you guys because this is very important. Basically, Sam was a friend of Elon Musk. I say was. They had a falling out, which he describes in his blog post. And it's important because the question is, will Elon Musk betray Donald Trump? Will Donald Trump betray Elon Musk? Who knows? But I will say Elon Musk does have a lot of power, and his self-destructive nature is frankly dangerous to all of us, unfortunately, because a lot of people who follow this guy and think that Elon Musk is God do pay attention to these kind of things. This is the inside look of Elon and how he treats people closest to him. So this says here, this is from Sam Harris, a friend of Elon Musk, or was. And he says, I didn't set out to become an enemy of the world's richest man, but I seem to have managed it all the same. Until this moment, I resisted describing my falling out with Elon Musk in much detail, but as a man's cultural influence has metastasized and continues to spread lies about me on the social media platform that he owns, which, right, Twitter X, it seems only appropriate to set the record straight. I know that it annoys many in my audience to see me defend myself against attacks that they recognize to be spurious, but they might nevertheless find the details of what happened with Elon interesting. And people have a right to defend themselves, of course. And when you read through Sam's stuff as we're going through here, you'll see it all sounds pretty reasonable to me. It sounds like a reasonable person, but Elon is clearly not. Now let's listen. Of all the remarkable people I've met, Elon is probably the most likely to remain a world historical figure, right? Yeah, sure, I'll agree with that. We're going to remember him, Elon, that is. Despite his best efforts to become a clown, he is also the most likely to squander his ample opportunities to live a happy life, ruin his reputation and most important relationships, and produce lasting harm across the globe. None of this was obvious to me when we first met, and I have been quite amazed at Elon's evolution, both as a man and as an avatar of chaos. The friend I remember did not seem to hunger for public attention, but his engagement with Twitter X transformed him to a degree seldom seen outside of Marvel movies or Greek mythology. If Elon is still the man I knew, I can only conclude that I never really knew him. This is really interesting. So sort of comparing him to like a Marvel villain kind of thing or a Greek mythology villain, just the transformation that Elon's made. And oftentimes, when people get money, people get power, it reveals who their true character is. That's what he's saying. I really rarely knew him. And guys, especially if you're a younger audience, pay attention to these kind of stories. Pay attention to people's experience. This is how you learn about life. And how the world works. And just understand money isn't everything. Just listen to stuff. This is from one of Elon's former friends. When we first met, Elon wasn't especially rich or famous. In fact, I recall him teetering on the brink of bankruptcy around 2008. While risking the last of his previous fortune to make payroll at Tesla, at the time, he was living off loans from his friends Larry and Sergey. So that would be the Google people. Once Elon became truly famous and his personal wealth achieved, escape velocity, I was among the first friends he called to discuss his growing security concerns, right? And that's natural. Just imagine you suddenly have like a lot more money than you did before. Because Elon, he grew up rich, but there's levels of wealth, and he started to really accumulate because now he's like considered, well, we'll just say one of the wealthiest individuals in the world. At that point, you're like, okay, who can I talk to trust? So at least coming from Sam saying he was one of those original friends, because I knew him when he was, not as wealthy compared to when he got more money. So he says, once Elon became truly famous and his personal wealth achieved escape velocity, I was one of the first friends he called to discuss his growing security concerns, right? Safety. I put him in touch with Gavin DeBecker, who provided his first bodyguards and recommended other changes to his life, which is interesting, right? You get money, you got to get bodyguards. We also went shooting on at least 2 occasions with Scott Reitz, the finest firearms instructor I've ever met. It was an ugly irony that Elon's repeated targeting of me on Twitter X has increased my own security concerns. He understands this, of course, but does not seem to care. And that's sad to hear that from Sam. Because it's just real. Some people need bodyguards if you just feel like you're going to be targeted. You have a lot of money. I think that's, I can get that. And we may need bodyguards for other reasons. But then the situation where if Elon is, tweeting out stuff that is hurtful to Sam, and Sam's not, I don't know Sam's full details, but if he feels the need that, he has security problems due to Elon is not great. Which is something I need to stress, which I don't know, a lot of the Musk and the Trump people downplay of where they attack, private citizens and, say, oh, it's that person's fault or whatever. And like the power that you wield when you're in these public positions is great, right? So you can do a lot of harm to people with this tweets. It's a real thing. Sam also says here, so how do we fall out? Let this be a cautionary tale for any of Elon's friends who might be tempted to tell the great man something he doesn't want to hear. When the SARS-CoV-2 virus first invaded our lives in March of 2020, Elon began tweeting in ways that I feared would harm his reputation. I also worried that his tweets might exasperate the coming public health emergency. Italy had already fallen off a cliff, and Elon shared the following opinion with his tens of millions of fans. And the tweet was, the coronavirus pandemic is dumb. That's what Elon tweeted out, that it was dumb. As a concerned friend, I sent him a private text, and this is the text that Sam sent Elon. Hey, brother, I really think you need to walk back your coronavirus tweet, right? And this time, Elon would have had a lot of followers, right? This is just a few years ago. I know there's a way to parse it that makes sense. Panic is always dumb, but I fear that that's not the way most people are reading it. You have an enormous platform, and much of the world looks to you as an authority on all things technical. Coronavirus is a very big deal, and if we don't get our act together, we're going to look just like Italy very soon. If you want to turn some engineers loose on the problem, now that would be a good time for a breakthrough in the production of ventilators. And then I guess 2, Elon's response was, I believe, the first discordant note ever struck in our friendship. This was a reply from Elon. He said, Sam, you of all people should not be concerned about this. So, Elon had his mind made up that he can tweet out whatever he wants, calling the virus the dumb. And his friend's like, hey, look what's going on in Italy. It's real, cut it out. And then Elon's just like, you shouldn't be worried about it. This is more. He says he included a link to a page on the CDC website indicating that COVID was not even among the top 100 causes of death in the United States. This was a patently silly point to make in the first days of a pandemic, which to any intelligent, logical person, if you're watching this video, you should understand this point here, right? Was it the first month of the pandemic? You're saying, oh, not that many people have been hurt, or not that many, died, but it's like, it's early. And you're already kind of seeing where this is going. So, I mean, it should be obvious where Elon's logic is wrong there. But again, how do you explain it to people who don't understand the basic logic? That's tough. So like, and you'll hear this stuff about Elon a lot, to where his it's just, I'll put it blunt, he's not that smart, or he's not that wise, I guess another way you could put it. And people have had these problems with him before. That's why I go through these details. We continued exchanging text for at least 2 hours, right? So they've been tweeting a long time about, the COVID thing. If I hadn't known that I was communicating with Elon Musk, I would have thought I was debating someone who lacked any understanding of basic scientific and mathematical concepts like exponential curves. I mean, think about this. You're texting with someone for a couple hours, and it's like, it's Elon, so you keep doing it. But if you didn't know, you're just like, it'd be just, this guy's an idiot, right? So that's why, and I've heard this multiple times. I'm just going through it, guys. You can just hear it again. This comes from Sam. 3, Elon and I didn't converge on a common view of the epidemiology over the course of those 2 hours, but we hit upon a fun compromise, a wager, and make a bet. Elon bet me $1 million to be given to a charity against a bottle of fancy tequila, which would be like 1,000, that wouldn't see as many cases as 35,000 cases in the COVID. So they're saying, I'll bet you $1 million. Basically, it's not going to get, more than 35,000 cases of COVID in the United States. And he was saying that's cases, not deaths. Terms to the bet that reflected what was, in his estimation, a near certainty of 1,000 to 1. So Elon was really confident, right? Give you good eyes on that he was right. Having already heard credible estimates that could be 1 million deaths from COVID in the United States over the next 12, 18 months. That's from Sam saying, he's like, I've been seeing, reports that it could be really high. So he figured, in Sam's point of view, it was a good bet, which obviously historically, Sam was right. These estimates proved fairly accurate. I thought the terms of the bet ridiculous and quite unfair to Elon. I offered to spot him a few, 2 orders of the magnitude. I was confident that we'd sooner have, 3.5 million cases of COVID in the U.S. Elon accused me of having lost my mind and insisted that we stick with a ceiling of 35,000. So Elon evidently was convinced that COVID wasn't real, I guess, or a threat. 35,000 is really low. You guys know this. So Elon was just in the wrong here. And to see how he handles it here. We communicated sporadically by text over the next couple of weeks while the number of reported cases grew. Obviously, Elon dismissed the next batch of data, right? So Elon just forget about that data or whatever, reported by the CDC as merely presumptive, while confirmed cases of COVID on his account remained elusive. 5. A few weeks later, when the CDC website finally reported 35,000 deaths, so this is not cases, this is deaths, from COVID in the US and 600,000 cases, I sent Elon the following text. Is 35,000 deaths plus 600 cases, right, greater than $35,000? 35,000 cases, remember, they made $1 million bet. So, clearly Sam had won the bet. And this is how Elon responds. This text appears to have ended our friendship. So basically, you bet Elon, you won the bet. And from this point of view, Sam is still friends with Elon. They just made a bet on, how many cases are going to be, how big of a problem is it going to be. Sends him a task, and then it says, this text has ended our friendship. Elon never responded, and it was not long before he began maligning me on Twitter for a variety of imaginary offenses. So basically, Elon just starts making up stuff about his friend Sam. For my part, I eventually started complaining about the startling erosion of his integrity on my podcast without providing detail about what had transpired between us. I understand. So Sam, he started saying, things about Elon and stuff like that, but didn't necessarily disclose all the details of this particular thing. And this is the first time I guess he's doing it. And interesting. And okay, we'll keep going on. At the end of 2022, I abandoned Twitter X. I just left altogether, having recognized the poisonous effect it had on my life, but also in a large part because of what I saw it doing to Elon. I've been away from the platform for over 2 years, and yet Elon still attacks me. Occasionally, a friend will tell me that I'm trendy there, and for reasons for this are never good. As recently as this week, Elon repeated a defamatory charge about me being a hypocrite for writing a book in the defense of honesty, then encouraging people to lie to keep Donald Trump out of the White House. Not only have I never advocated lying to defeat Trump, despite what misleading clip from the Trigonometry podcast might suggest to naive viewers, I've taken great pains to defend Trump from the most damaging lie ever told about him. Elon knows this because we communicated about the offending clip when it first appeared on Twitter X. However, he simply does not care that he is defaming a former friend to hundreds of millions of people, many of whom are mentally unstable. On this occasion, he even tagged the incoming president of the United States. So again, this guy, at least according to Sam, they made a bet. Sam wins the bet. Elon doesn't like the result, and then just starts making up crap about Sam. That's according to Sam. And for me, when I read through all this stuff, and I've read, this is not just Sam. I've read multiple things. I've even read Elon's book. This sounds like Elon to me. So I tend to believe Sam in this case. I understand it'll be a he said kind of stuff, but that's why we go over this stuff. But that's when I pose to you guys, especially for Elon fans. Do you feel like this is just Sam making stuff up? I don't think so, but everyone can have their opinion on that, and that's why we're going over this. And it changes too, and depending on your view of Elon and how many other stories that relate to this kind of thing. Like I said, and if you want to read the Elon book, you can. And also recommend read my book. Just read. The more you know about someone, you have a better sense of who they are, a better chance to know who they are. So the Elon's always been erratic. I think that's something that people should be able to agree on, whether you like him or not. Okay, here's more. All of this remains socially and professionally awkward because Elon and I still have many friends in common, which suggests the terms of another wager that I would happily make if such thing were possible. And I would accept a 1,000 to 1 odds in Elon's favor, meaning that he sounds like he'd be willing to, lose a bet to Elon. And remember, the money all goes to charity anyway. So there's that, just to repair friendship. So it sounds like, but I bet that anyone who knows us both that I am telling the truth, which I have a feeling he's probably telling the truth, meaning Sam. Everyone close to Elon must recognize how unethical he has become, and yet they remain silent. Their complicity is understandable, right? people make money off the pump and dumps that Elon does. You guys know these kind of things. So, he understands why people are complicit, or they want to keep their jobs or whatever number of things. But he's just, he's saying, my friend Elon's unethical, and everyone can see it. And other people know too, is kind of how I read this. Their complicity is understandable, but it is all depressing all the same. These otherwise serious and compassionate people know that when Elon attacks private citizens on Twitter X, falsely accusing them of crimes or corruption, celebrating their misfortunes, he is often causing tangible harm in their lives. It is still true to say that social media isn't real life until thousands of lunatics learn your home address. And I've said that so many times on this channel, to where, you got to be careful if you have the following that Elon has. You can just make up stuff about whatever and then give their home address. That's a real concern. It's a real concern. And also Elon's involved in multiple countries. So again, this is coming from someone who really knows Elon. A final absurdity in my case is that several of the controversial issues that Elon has hurled himself as of late and even attacked me over are ones we agree about. We seem to be in near total alignment on immigration and the problems at the southern border of the U.S. We also share the same concerns about what he calls, quote, woke mind virus. So it sounds like Sam is on the more conservative side. So he even agrees with Elon stuff, as he's saying. We even fully agree about the manifest evil of the so-called, quote, grooming gang scandal in the UK. The problem with Elon is that he makes no effort to get his facts straight when discussing any of these things, any of these topics, and he regularly promotes lies and conspiracy theories manufactured by known bad actors at scale. And if grooming were one of his concerns, it's strange that he couldn't find anything wrong with Matt Gaetz, right? So that's a good example. So even Sam, say for example, maybe I disagree with Sam on various things, but and I've said this several times on the channel. I'm fine having disagreements on stuff, guys. But this idea that I'm just gonna make up stuff, that I'm gonna have conspiracy theories. This is where the stuff that Elon does is really off the rails and very, very damaging. I'm just making up stuff. It essentially. Right? Hey, we can disagree on things, but let's agree not to make stuff up. And especially in the world of fake news. And then you're saying, Elon promotes, known bad actors, like people who purposely put out bad stuff. Elon and I even agree about the foundational importance of free speech. It's just that his approach to safeguarding it, amplifying the influence of psychopaths and psychotics while deplatforming real journalists and his own critics, or savaging the reputation of Democratic leaders while never saying a harsh word about the Chinese Communist Party, is not something I can support. The man claims to have principles, but he appears to have only moods and impulses, right? And again, you guys know this. I've just mentioned several times on the channel, right? He will never say anything bad about China. So, and he's got a lot of business dealings over there. So, it's important because it shows that he doesn't really care about free speech or human rights or that kind of stuff. If he did, he wouldn't necessarily, right, stay silent on the China, right? But Elon never says anything bad about China. So bring that up with any Tesla fanboy or fangirl and see how they respond. Just out of curiosity. Any dispassionate observer of Elon's behavior on Twitter X can see that there is something seriously wrong with his moral compass, if not his perception of reality. That's something I was telling my wife about. Is I think Elon actually believes the lies that he tweets out, or believes every conspiracy theory. So or maybe have a split personality and just sort of disassociates himself with stuff. Who knows? I'm not an expert on Elon's, like personal, stuff that he does every single day in terms of, in his home and how he talks to people in private conversations. But we can see the crazy crap he does in public. So, and then you get these kind of descriptions from his friends. You get a pretty good sense of who he is. Also says here, there is simply no excuse for a person with his talents, resources, and opportunities to create so much pointless noise. The callousness and narcissism conveyed by his antics should be impossible for his real friends to ignore, but they appear to keep silent, perhaps for fear of losing access to his orbit of influence. So this is that's a definite call for for those who are close to Elon, because Elon wields a lot of power, guys. Let's be honest here, right? I mean, he bought Trump. He can do ever crazy stuff. Just recently he was negotiating a prisoner swap with Italy and Iran. I just reported that just earlier. I was like, what the heck? And the guy is mentally unstable. But that's how scary our world is. Think about it. So one of the most powerful people in the world right now is just unstable. This is more from Sam. Sam also says, of course, none of this is to deny the tens of thousands of brilliant engineers Elon employs are accomplishing extraordinary things. He's really the greatest entrepreneur of our generation, and because of the business he's built, he will likely become the world's first trillionaire. So Sam still thinks Elon's going to make money, perhaps very soon. Since the election of Donald Trump in November, Elon's wealth has grown by around 200 billion. That's nearly 3 billion a day and over 100 million an hour. When you put it that way, that's actually quite a lot of money, right? 100 million an hour. Such astonishing access to resources gives Elon the chance, and many would argue the responsibility, to solve enormous problems in our world. And this is the final sentence. So why spend time spreading lies on X? So I actually really appreciate this blog post by Sam. It carries a lot of weight when you really know Elon very personally, even saying you even agree with many of the things that he says, but really pointing out his serious character flaws of Elon, the danger of Elon, and really the danger of misinformation. And this is from someone who even agrees with him. But this is the kind of stuff that you need to do. Learn from these examples that you need to do in your life around people around you, right? You got to call out BS. It doesn't matter, how in my opinion, I mean, people will disagree, but I'll say it doesn't matter if someone's a family member or a close friend, or if you're looking just for your own personal financial gain, which some people do, but there are greater things and more important things than just that. So I know it's funny. The funniest thing is, and just talking honestly about this, sometimes when I have these discussions with people, that there's sometimes like young people, and I guess this is a problem with young people. I don't know, but they'll just be like, why does always Chris talk about ethics and morals? Like don't you just want to make lots of money? And then I don't know. It's not just the young generation. I mean, every generation has that kind of person. I mean, Elon Musk is my generation, basically. So certainly there's people out there like that. But for people who can't understand the importance of responsibility and having good moral standing and good moral character, I don't know what to say other than I'll just keep pointing this stuff out. And, like I said, there's more to life than just money. And if you can't hold a relationship or hold your friends, you got a real problem that you need to look at yourself. And this is something that happens to a lot of people with Elon's just one example, but have substance problems, and Elon's could be on any number of things. So there's that. And he may have other issues that we don't know about exactly. Because I've seen reports of all kinds of stuff going on in Elon's private life. So, but this particular blog post, I think, is written very well, because it wasn't like I just hate Elon no matter what. It was just my friends, broke our relationship basically, and it's sad to see what happened to his friend. And now his friend's got a bunch of power, and it's quite dangerous. So please share your thoughts on what you think about this. I do appreciate your time, and I'll catch you on the next video.